It is a holy act, and it is taken very seriously here by both society and corporations alike. The ritual dance of members of the Australian Indigenous people, performed on the roof of Sydney's latest skyscraper, the Quay Quarter Tower, on the occasion of its completion.
That is the cleansing of the ancestors. It's also about safe passage, permission to be here, and so that everybody here has the blessing of the ancestors, and they will be protected until they leave this place.
Embedded between two world-famous landmarks, to the left the Harbour Bridge, to the right the Opera House, the Quay Quarter Tower slots into the city's skyline and nevertheless stands out. A total of 50 stories spiral their way up to a height of 206 meters. The building was commissioned by Australian investment company AMP Capital. Until responding to the project tender, Danish architecture practice 3XN had never designed a high-rise. So how great was the pressure on architect Fred Holt to create another landmark?
We never try to create a landmark. We create buildings that respond to the user, that actually creates a positive user environment. We really believe architecture shapes behavior. Then there's site constraints, other factors, setbacks, guidelines, a brief, cultural factors that come in that start shaping the building. And through those constraints, we create this informed design. So it's never about form for us. And occasionally, that building, that final product, is called iconic. But looking at this building from the outside, it has a unique form, but it didn't start off that way.
And the architects and developers had to achieve something else as well, to breathe real life into an entire quarter of town. After close of business, the quarter was as good as dead. It had been a nocturnal non-space for decades. Hardly a single tenant renting office space wanted to stick around. A prime urban address with existing historical buildings confined to the social and business margins.
It was our vision, as well as the city's, to completely transform and revitalise this part of the city. So early days, with 3XN and our architects, there was a lot of focus on improving the porosity across the two city blocks and to create more streets and edges and corners to infuse the whole development with a very diverse mix of retail. So there's this dramatic tower, but there's also a 3-level podium, which is also being very carefully crafted.
One of the features of the podium, which is again where that activation starts from, it's sandstone, and the sandstone actually relates to the heritage buildings around the site. We've already seen a big difference just in the precinct. Restaurants have started to pop up around the tower, which didn't happen 20 years ago or even 8 years ago when I started coming back and forth. So the activation at the podium, market hall level, the surrounding precinct is vital for the success of a high-rise.
Worldwide, hundreds of now aged high-rises are threatened with demolition, something that releases CO2 in gigantic volumes. That said, the construction industry is already one of the largest carbon emitters. The ambitious plan by the architects was to retain the building core of the old 1970s high-rise and shorten the construction lead time.
It is the first project of its kind that I'm aware of in the world, and it is absolutely a model for the 21st century. What's so extraordinary about the QQT project is that it's much more than a traditional retrofit. It really is a completely new makeover of an existing building using the pieces that were able to be reused in a clever and sensitive way, and then building something that's completely up to date and absolutely stunning on the city skyline.
The old high-rise's load-bearing structure was retained and a new skyscraper built up around it. This saved $200 million in construction costs, while the rigorous building regulations compelled other unusual solutions.
We've doubled the square meters of the previous building that we've retained 2/3 of. The shaping of the blocks, the way they stack, the way they shift, as well as the crown, the top of the building, its shape to actually fit within the solar constraints. So even though we've doubled the size of the building, added 4 more floors, we couldn't create 1 square centimeter more of shadow on the botanical gardens and the domain.
The main benefit was the creative construction methodology, where we demolished the existing tower at the same time as bringing up the new tower, and that effectively saved over a year in construction time. And that has a huge impact on the commercial feasibility and made the project stack. And then, of course, the other reason is the incredible environmental benefit. You know, we now know, and we didn't know then, that as a consequence of doing this, we've been able to save over 12,000 tonnes of embedded carbon.
QQT also sets completely new standards on the inside too. Here, the concept of work is thought anew and translated into architectural form. Only a few months after completion, tenants had signed up for over 90% of the space, and one day 8,000 people will work here.
Quay Quarter Tower has a series of atria that are cut out of the northern portion of the floor plate, and that creates a social spine. And we call it the social spine because it really is the backbone of the interior. It gives the building its purpose and that social dynamism that's crucial to creating a place that people want to be. You know, a happy employee is a productive employee. So from a client's point of view, they can actually start to quantify this idea of collaboration and well-being as being good business as well.
Over 500 flexible workspaces spread across 4,000 square meters, vistas, workstations, tranquil spaces, conference rooms, views outwards and from above. They are all part of QQT's futuristic spatial concept. The quiet zones and meeting points designed by Aboriginal artists bring to mind the culture of the First Nations.
I've had so much feedback around the spaces, whether it's the actual physical feeling of being in a space like this that takes you back. Even just sitting here, you don't realise what this environment or this space is doing to you. But it's actually calming you and allowing you to reflect and to just be dreamy.
A truly dreamlike working ambient is also delivered by well over 9,000 sensors, 168 cameras, 36 elevators, 18 of them double-deckers. QQT is also kept running by an ingenious waste management system, while heat inverters, as high as a house, ensure energy-efficient room temperatures, and over 800 bicycle racks foster sustainable mobility. An unusual and impressive high-rise at an iconic location. Will the Quay Quarter Tower be a strong message?
I would hope it would say that use me, explore, this space belongs to you. And it would also show all of us when we get older, sometimes we get better as well.
It was an incredible engineering feat, and nothing had ever been done in terms of reuse and transformation on this scale of an existing office tower. So it truly was a pioneering journey. But the nice thing now is we can sit back and say, hey, we did this. You can do this. And you can do it on a very big scale, and you can do it successfully.
This is the beautiful thing about the spirit world and the ancestors of this place. It knows you, and it knows your spirit. It doesn't matter whether you come from another place in the world. It knows you. And it will give you what you need at that time if you're open to it.
Our heartfelt congratulations go to the Quay Quarter Tower.